No black people allowed, not a quote from 1952, an unspoken rule still alive in parts of America today. We like to think racism is a monster from the past, but what if it just got quieter? It traded its white hood for zoning laws and homeowners associations. Some towns didn't just stay white by chance. They were built that way, as sundown towns, where black people were warned to leave by sunset or face violence. The official curfews may be gone, but the cold shoulder remains, hanging in the air like a thick fog. These aren't just history lessons. This is the America that exists right now, in towns you might drive through or consider moving to, never realizing the price of that peace is someone else's exclusion. So before we dive in, hit like, subscribe to Traveler in Shock and ring the bell for more eye-opening content. Let's jump right in. Welcome to Fallbrook, California, the avocado capital of the world and once a notorious sundown town. Black families were run out, their homes targeted, their safety non-existent. Signs at the edge of town warned black people not to be caught after dark. In a state known for progressivism, Fallbrook's exclusion thrived, poisoning the soil for generations. Today the signs are gone, but the legacy isn't. The black population hovers around 1%. Is it coincidence or the chilling power of reputation? The whispers travel further than any welcome brochure. Black families see the numbers, hear the stories, and decide this isn't a place for them. There are no angry mobs, just the silence of a community that maintains its racial makeup through a carefully curated atmosphere of non-welcome. You might not be called a slur, but you'll get the look. The one that says, "You don't belong here." Fallbrook sells a dream of peaceful rural living. But for black Americans, that dream comes with a silent, invisible asterisk. Not all sunshine is warm, and not all communities are welcoming, no matter how many avocados they sell. Boole, Idaho, population 4,700, diversity still undefined. In these isolated pockets, old attitudes thrive. Boole is over 96% white, not by accident, but by design. Idaho's northern regions have long been a haven for white separatist groups. The ideas seep into the groundwater. For a black person, the feeling is palpable, not overt aggression, but the complete lack of anyone who looks like you. Every face in the diner, every person in the park, looks the same. You are the anomaly. The stares aren't just curious, they're questioning. What are you doing here? Why would a black family move to a place where their children would be the only non-white faces in school, where every interaction is tinged with being the other? The cycle continues. The town remains white because it's unwelcoming. And it's unwelcoming because it remains white. Boole is a stubborn holdout against a multicultural America, where the clock stopped in 1955, and no one's in a hurry to wind it. It's a perfect, self-sustaining ecosystem of exclusion. Pullman, Washington, home to Washington State University, where diversity exists inside the campus bubble. The university recruits a diverse student body, but step off campus and you fall off a demographic cliff. The town itself is overwhelmingly white, tolerating diversity only as long as it's temporary and confined to the university. Black students experience a jarring duality, celebrated on campus, but outsiders in town. Microaggressions being followed in stores and driving while black are common stories. Once graduation comes, the message is clear: the diversity leaves, and Pullman reverts to its default setting. The town benefits from the university's diversity without embracing it for real. For black students, it's a constant reminder: their presence is conditional. Marion, Indiana, haunted by a photograph of a 1930 lynching, its crowd of smiling white faces a chilling symbol of casual brutality. That crowd? The ancestors of today's residents. Marion's soul never recovered. For decades it was a place where black people were not safe. The shadow of that photo looms large. Apologies and memorials exist, but the town remains deeply segregated. Black residents are concentrated in neglected neighborhoods. The other side of the tracks is a living reality. For black people, Marion means carrying the weight of history, wondering what attitudes have been passed down. The past shapes policing, housing, and social interactions. Racism here isn't just individual hatred, it's collective memory and the failure to atone. Healing takes more than time, it takes radical, intentional effort. In Marion, that work is far from finished. Anna, Illinois, rumored to stand for "Ain't No N-Words Allowed." Whether true or not, the policy was real. Anna was an infamous sundown town, violently purging its black population in the early 20th century. Signs, threats, and violence made the message clear: black people did not belong. The reputation became a survival strategy for black families in the region. Even today, Anna's population is almost entirely white. The legend did its job, building a psychological wall that endures. Attempts to rebrand fall flat because the violent, exclusionary history remains unaddressed. Visiting Anna as a black person is surreal. Every glance feels loaded with meaning. The ambiguity is its own form of hostility. Anna is a living testament to the power of a name, a story, and a history that refuses to be buried. The past is never just the past here. Cicero, Illinois, once Al Capone's headquarters, later infamous for violent racial exclusion. In 1951, a black family's move sparked a riot. Thousands attacked. The National Guard intervened. Cicero became a fortress of whiteness, with police often complicit in keeping black families out. Martin Luther King Jr. called Chicago's mobs more hate-filled than those in Mississippi or Alabama. He meant places like Cicero. Today, Cicero is mostly Latino, but not through peaceful integration. White flight replaced one form of segregation with another. The anti-black sentiment lingers, and the black population remains tiny. Racial tension and profiling persist. Cicero's story shows how exclusion mutates, leaving the original victims still on the outside. Segregation isn't always black and white, it just changes form. Villa Grove, Illinois, where the unwelcoming stare is an art form. No explosive riots, just a slow-burning, atmospheric racism that kept the town almost entirely white. Villa Grove was a sundown town. Black workers could be there by day, but had to leave by nightfall. Generations grew up with zero exposure to other races, so ignorance and suspicion became the norm. The arrival of a black person is an event, stares that mix suspicion, curiosity, and hostility. The residents themselves are the new warning sign. Black people avoid the town, reinforcing its isolation and ignorance. The cycle of exclusion is hard to break. Villa Grove proves you don't need walls to be a fortress. Just a unified, unwelcoming gaze. The stare says it all. You are out of place. Highland Park, Illinois. A wealthy suburb where exclusion is politely enforced. No mobs, just restrictive covenants and zoning laws that kept out black and Jewish families for decades. When covenants were outlawed, economic barriers took over, astronomical home prices and a lack of affordable housing. Preserving community character is code for maintaining the status quo established by racist policies. The result, a racially homogeneous community, cloaked in the language of economics and school ratings. Residents can display Black Lives Matter signs, but the demographic reality tells a different story. It's a liberal form of segregation. Systemic barriers keep the town almost entirely white. The most effective walls are the ones you can't see. Highland Park is a reminder, exclusion can wear a smile. Harrison, Arkansas, where racism isn't whispered but shouted from billboards. Once the KKK's national headquarters, Harrison became a magnet for white supremacists. In the 1990s and 2000s, billboards greeted travelers with messages like, "Anti-racist is a code word for anti-white." Imagine being a black family on a road trip and seeing that your presence is not just unwelcome, it's threatened. Some billboards have come down, but the culture remains. The town is still over 95% white, a direct result of its history and reputation. Visiting Harrison as a person of color is an act of bravery. Even a trip to the gas station can feel like a political act. Harrison is a sobering example of what happens when hate is advertised for all to see. Vidor, Texas, blunt, brazen, and unapologetically steeped in a legacy of violent segregation. Known as Bloody Vidor, the KKK operated openly, ensuring no black person could live there. In 1993, a federal court ordered desegregation of public housing. Black families moved in under armed guard, the town erupted rallies, threats, relentless terror, the families fled for their lives, the integration attempt failed. Vidor's black population is still statistically zero. In 21st century America, a town of over 10,000 remains entirely white through a legacy of terror. The reputation is so toxic, it does the Klan's work for them. No black person would willingly move there. It would be social, if not physical, suicide. Vidor stands as a monument to the enduring power of raw, violent racism. Here, whites only isn't a whisper, it's a scream. 10 U.S. towns reserved for white folks only where the welcome signs are bright. But the message is exclusion. From polite economic barriers to billboard hate, segregation isn't a relic, it's alive and evolving. These places don't need to shout "no black people allowed," their systems, and silence do the talking. Geography is about power, safety, and belonging. Sunlight exposes everything. Now that you've seen behind the curtain, what will you do? If this video made you think, hit like, comment, and subscribe for more unapologetic truth from Traveler in Shock. Traveling isn't just about where you can go, it's about where you're actually safe to stay.